this is Dwight York.
Hi there guys, it's Sol Campbell here.
Bonjour, je suis Samuelito.
Hola, soy Juan Sebastián Verón.
Hello guys, I'm Ture Yaya.
Hi, this is Brad Friedel.
What's up guys, Nico Anelka speaking. Please join me.
Agradezco la invitación.
Join me in full support of the Islands Cup Open
Coming in the summer 2021.
Island Cup Open.
The Island Cup.
I'll be there.
Let's do this.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Cal Blankendahl here on the Caribbean Entertainment Sports Management Group Network. I'm here with Enoh, the famous man from Cameroon, from Ajax Cape Town, all the way back in Amsterdam after a very successful career. And before we even start, he is not retired. He is in transition to even bigger and better things in life. Enoh, welcome to Caribbean Entertainment Sports Management Group.
Thank you so much, Calvin. I'm really excited and glad to be here on the platform with you on this podcast.
Thank you. And as always, we want to thank those who have made it possible for us. That will be our sponsors. Our lead sponsor is the Island Cup Open, led by Mr. Chris Anderson, which will bring an exciting platform of entertainment and sports to the region in 2022. And we would thank all of our other sponsors that are going to be part of this magnificent segment. A little bit about yourself. Talk about your family, which country you grew up in, and how did you end up in Amsterdam?
Well, I'm originally from Cameroon. I live in the Netherlands, Amsterdam, with my wife, Bernadette, and 5 of our boys. And how did I end up in Amsterdam? I started playing football like every other young African kid on the streets, in the neighborhood, dreaming one day to play top professional. And watching the 1990 World Cup, where Cameroon went on to the quarterfinals of this World Cup in Italy, it was inspiring, and it was stirring, and that put Cameroon on the map of African football and world football. And that is where the whole dream started. And over time, Samuel Eto'o also came up in the picture, and his exploits with Barcelona also just gingered the dream for all young Cameroonians to want to someday play at top level. And I was one of those young players. And from then on, I just began to play in the neighborhood, at school level, at local competitions. And so I took my leap into Cyprus, where I played in the Turkish side of Cyprus, the north. And from there, I was able to come to South Africa, in Cape Town, in the year 2016 into 2017, played for 2 years, and was best player in the league and best player in the club, and was scouted by Ajax Amsterdam. And that's how I got to Amsterdam in the year 2018, when I signed my professional contract.
Fantastic. I want to welcome me and my co-host, the gentleman who founded this magnificent platform to bring these unique stories to the world. Vernon, welcome.
Hey, welcome, and welcome to Enoch. Welcome to Football Insight. It's indeed a pleasure to have you on our platform. Give God thanks.
Thank you so much, Vernon. I'm so excited and happy to be here on the platform with you as well.
Right. Living in Amsterdam now, far away from Cameroon, far away from the lifestyle, the culture, the climate. You have on a nice warm hooded shirt to keep you warm, even though it's October. If you were in Africa, you would be outdoors with a short shirt on. What was the most difficult thing coming out of Africa, Cameroon, to then Europe? What was the most challenging transition?
For me, the most challenging transition was to come out of home. I grew up with my mom, my dad, my sisters in this family setting. The most challenging thing was to be able to leave your family and chase your dream. But fortunate for me, I had a dad who prepared me for life. So he didn't make life good for us. He prepared us to make life good for ourselves. I remember when I was probably around 14 years old, he called me one time and he said to me, once you get into 17, 18, you should get ready to leave my house. And that was a big shock for me. I was like, what did I do? Did I offend my dad or did I do something? And after 2 weeks, he called me back. He said, did you understand what I said to you? And I was like, no, I don't get it. Did I do something wrong? Like, my dad is upset with me. And he said, no, I'm not upset with you. So he asked me the question, what are you going to do if I'm not around? I sat quiet. What are you going to do if your mom is not around? I sat quiet. He said, well, we did our job to bring you here and we're giving you the best possibility to grow up, but I'm not preparing you to stay in the house. I'm preparing you for life. So my goal is to help you start to, what do you want in life? What are your dreams? What are your goals? So the moment he began to say that to me, I understood that my dad has as much as he could do and is giving me the right mindset, but I am the one responsible to chase my dreams. So that already set my mind up to go on to pursue my dream. Of course, I missed my family, which was a big challenge, but I was aware that that was part of the price I had to pay to chase my dreams. So it gave me mental preparation to be able to go on such a journey.
Now, coming out of Cameroon, coming to Europe, it's a long distance, different culture, different food. To actually get there is one thing, but to stay in that environment is even more challenging because it's new. You have to perform. There are many different things you have to do. And you also have the love for your family. But once you make it, then I believe you feel extra powerful. Is that the strength of African footballers, that once you get there, you're like, I'm not going to go back home unless I'm successful?
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, it's about your why. In some of the courses, and I'm trying to encourage a lot of young players. I'm trying to help them find their why. For me, I knew why I was playing football. For some people, it's not clear. Probably you're playing because there are different reasons why people get into the sports. For me, my goal was, number one, to inspire the next generation of people that is possible to make it without compromise through hard work, discipline, and faith in God. So for me, my goals and my drive was very clear. And I knew that if I were to make it, I'm not just making it for myself. I'm making it for my family. I'm making it for a group of generation of young people. So my why or my purpose was my drive, was my motivating factor. And that's why I couldn't take no for an answer. I couldn't accept failure. I had many different things that happened that could have made me give up. But I knew that the reason for which I was doing it was greater than myself. And that was really my drive. When I thought about my family, I thought about the future I wanted to have, my children. What's the legacy I'm going to leave for them? What's the story I'm going to tell them? How I got somewhere? Those things kept me going. And besides that, Cameroon already had been on the map, and I was coming from Cameroon. So everywhere I show up, they ask you, do you know Roger Milla? Like, Roger Milla is known around the world. Eto'o is known around the world. So you also have a kind of reputation from the country you come from to defend. So for me, that was very patriotic to be able to say, I'm going to go somewhere and Cameroon's legacy has to continue as well.
Before I pass you on to Vernon, I definitely want to speak on that point. Most people is going to say, Eyong, Enoh, who's that? Well, before I let you speak to Vernon, this young man in front of me is a former vice captain of the Cameroonian national team. And you could correct me, you went to 2 World Cups. You've won at least 2 league titles with Ajax. This is who we are talking to, people. This is not just someone who put on a pair of football boots and went on the pitch. This is what you call a living legend. Vernon, all yours.
Once again, welcome again, Ian, to Football Inside platform. And just going through your career stats, 51 games for Cameroon, 2009, 2016 for Ajax, 98 matches, whole lot. And you played in a very particular role, defensive midfielder. Explain that role a little bit to me, because, you know, in the modern day term, we just would have had a midfielder, but defensive midfielder, so you weren't allowed to score a lot of goals.
Yes, thank you, Vernon. I didn't start playing football originally in that role. I started playing more like an attacking midfielder, more like a creative midfielder when I was back in Cameroon. But when I got to Cape Town and Ajax Cape Town, I was in you would call the franchise club, the development and youth academy. I was 19 getting to 20, and I met a Turkish coach who was like a mentor to me, Mushin Etogra. So when I came there, I came for trials as an attacking midfielder. But when he watched me and he saw the qualities I had, he saw the discipline I had and the ability to learn and to be open, to grow and improve. I was not the most technical player. I was not the most skillful player, but I was the most determined player in the team. And he sort of called me and he said, you know what, I'm going to use you like this. You're going to be a player that is going to be able to give balance to the team. And because I was also intelligent, able to read the game, but I was also able to lead the team, to coach, to guide my teammates. And it felt like that position is going to be good for you. And that is how I developed myself in that position. And over time, it became something that I was known for. Like they call me the invisible man in some of the big newspapers in South Africa, that when you see the team playing, you might not see me, but I'm the man making things happen from the back to the front, coordinating everything. It's like the spinal cord that moves your body, but you don't see the spinal cord. So that role in a team is actually the pivotal role in every team. Top coaches like Van Gaal and Johan Cruyff always talk about the axe or the spinal cord of a team, where he talks about the central defense, the midfield, and the striker. It's like a whole a spinal cord line that gives the team the proper kind of balance that it needs. And when I came to Ajax for trials in the year 2008, that was what was missing in the team. We had fantastic players, very talented, attacking, skillful, dribbling, but we lacked a player who was very disciplined and could control the game and give balance to the team. So we have the likes of Makelele, who did that for Real Madrid, the team they called the Galactico, with all the big stars, but you still needed an important player like Makelele to give that position. When Mourinho came to Chelsea and he wanted to win the title for Chelsea, the first player that came to his mind was Makelele. He had to bring Makelele all the way from Chelsea, from Real Madrid to Chelsea. And the stability he brought in the team gave the team the title. Today, we see a lot of coaches understanding how important and vital this role in a team was. Zidane in his coaching career also, you could see he had to bring a player like Casemiro to fit in that sport. Today we have the Golo Kante, and on, you see how that's how important my role was for Ajax and in all the other teams I've played. That's what a defensive midfielder is. It's a player that gives balance to a team between the defense and the midfield and the attack.
Now, let's touch a little bit on international football and club football. And you would have played, like I said before in the interlude, 98 matches. Playing for Cameroon during the period of time, what were your highlights during your playing career, playing for Cameroon?
Well, my highlights were the 2 World Cup I played. The first World Cup was in South Africa, which was actually my second home, because my first son was born there and I played there before coming to Amsterdam. And just playing in that first World Cup, which was ever first hosted in history of the World Cup in Africa, for me was a special moment. And in South Africa, where I played before, just made it even more special. So that's a highlight for me. I would even say my highlight also was my first selection in the national team, because Cameroon, like I was explaining to Calvin, as a young person growing up, when you watch the national team, it's far away. It's like a dream. Which day is it going to happen? And you see the likes of Roger Milla, you see the likes of Samuel Eto'o. It's all far-fetched, but with determination and hard work. When I was first called up in the year 2018, and we had a friend, 2018 to 2019, we had a friendly match and a qualifier match against Morocco. It was a dream come true. And for me to meet all the legends of Rigobert Song, Jeremy Jita, Samuel Eto'o, this was a high moment for me, for football. And it was so humbling to know that. Another high moment for me, football, is playing in the Champions League. The Champions League is the top of crops of football in Europe, and even you would say in the world, because you have, it's a competition for champions from every corner. And when you get to rub shoulders with some of the top players like the Seedorf, like the Ronaldinho, like the Ronaldo himself. You're just playing with the best. Is, I would say, besides the World Cup, it is the top of competitive level of football. So playing my first Champions League game, playing my first World Cup with Cameroon national team, which is the Africa Cup, being selected for the first time, and also the World Cup in Brazil, these were high moments for me that really were so really special, that as a young person dreaming someday to play football at the top level, when you are there on that field and the anthems are going on just before the game, there are moments you can't even begin to dream. And finally, I'll close with this high moment for me. When I came to Ajax in 2008, Ajax as a club had been for 7 years without winning a title, and they were going through a very tough period. And I was privileged to win the League Cup that year. They called the Beker, the year 2009 with Ajax after 7 years without the title. And the next following year, 2010, Ajax won the 30th championship, which gave them the third star on their jersey. And that was a historic moment from the club. Very special. They talk about it till today. That's like 2010. We're in 2021, 11 years after, we are still talking about the experience of the third star. So these are highlight moments for me that I take in very, very specially.
During your time, both at the club level and the national level, did you, when you look back at your career, feel that you reach your true potential as a player?
I would say yes, and I would say no. I would say yes, because when I look from where I came from and where I came to, where I was, what I was able to attain, I would say I reached my potential, because I played at almost all the competition. The things I wanted to attain in football, I did attain them. I wanted to play in the World Cup, I did. I wanted to play in the Champions League, I did. I wanted to win titles with a club, which is Ajax. I won 3 times with them, I did. I wanted to play football like almost most of the continents in the world. I played in Africa, I played in Cameroon, I played in Europe, I went to a little bit of Asia. So I've touched almost everywhere. So I have an idea of what football is in the different parts of the world. So if I would look at it from that perspective, I would say, yes, I achieved my full potential. But when I look at it from management perspective, I would say I didn't achieve my full potential. And there's a lot of details to that, which probably I have to talk some other time. But what I mean, I did achieve my maximum potential was in terms of using the platform, having a management team around me to make the best out of those moments of my highlight in my career. It would have been much more out there. It would have been much more pronounced. It would have been able to hit some more different target markets than with the knowledge I have now. That is what I assess from my career.
What's your planned pathway going forward now? You've left yourself a legacy as one of the top African players. And so, you know, that in itself would really mean a whole lot, as you explained during your career. What's your planned pathway going forward now? I know we have the Island Cup Open coming up in 2022. And as we're talking about the planned pathway, how you got involved in the Island Cup Open?
I have my former teammates when I was in university in Cameroon who got in contact with me and spoke to me about the opportunity. This friend's brother works with Mr. Anderson, Chris Anderson, and that's how I got involved. And they were talking about players from Cameroon, and my name came up. So he contacted me, and when he spoke to me about the vision and the mission for the Island Cup, I was very interested, because I'm very Pan-Africanist, and also I believe in pushing our own products forward. And I think that there's no better time than to do this than now. And I think Mr. Chris Anderson's vision for this type of project comes in a very interesting time for things that people think, but don't have a kind of platform to take action. So he gives us the platform to take their actions for those who are just thinking. And now you have it rolling off. So for me, this is some of kind of the thoughts I want to be involved in. This is a plan going forward, is to promote our own genre, promote our own ideas, promote our own concepts. And secondly, for me, what I missed in my own career, I feel like I have a responsibility to give back to the next generation. I mentioned that one of the things that was missing in my career highlight was management. And I've taken it upon myself to make sure that the next generation doesn't miss out on this. So I'm writing a book that is going to educate inspire and also mentor a lot of young professional footballers coming up. Because of that, also, I'm also working on setting up a management team that will help young players. Because I finally discovered that at the end of it all, it's not how much you make in football, it's what you do with what you make. And for me, that's management. And the difference between some of the players that are selling in millions today and those that are not selling in millions, it's not their talent, it's the management and marketing around the player.
Folks, 2022, look out for Enoh. Nets will shake in the Island Cup Open 2022, and we'll be seeing some big stars. Remember, Football Insight is powered by Island Cup Open. Carl Blankendale and Vernon Springer are the special hosts, and we want to pay some respects to our major sponsors.
When your body is challenged, it burns fuel and energy. Respond to every challenge with Altitude Sports Drink. It replenishes, restores, and prepares you for the next level. Altitude is uniquely formulated with an electrolyte blend and magnesium available in fruit punch, blue frost, and grape. Altitude. Raise your game.
Let me take this opportunity to say how delighted and excited I am to be part of the Island Cup as an ambassador. I'm really looking forward to it. I know it's a great initiative that will give our young footballers in the region an opportunity for them to highlight their product. So I'm really looking forward to it, which will be hopefully happen next year. We know that we are going to some trial times at this particular time with COVID-19. Let me just take this opportunity to say to everyone globally to continue to stay as safe as you can. Also to continue to try and fulfill all the requirements which are on board for you to stay as safe as possible. God bless.
Hello everyone, my name is Eyong Enoh, a professional football player. I've played with Standard Liège in Belgium, Ajax Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and also in the Fulham FC in the Premier League. And I'm inviting you to this exciting tournament coming up. That's going to be the Island Cup Open Cup tournament coming up in 2021 summer. Make sure you support it and be part of it. I also want to encourage you to make sure you keep the sanitary rules, wash your hands, keep the distance, stay safe, and let's all fight COVID-19 as we ought to. See you soon, and then make sure you support. Bye.
I just have one more question, and then I think I will have to vacate the scene and allow Carl to be able to take you through the rest of the Football Insight program. The Black Lives Matter movement, and a simple question: did you encounter racism while you were playing as a player?
Well, you know, it took probably because I played in Africa and I played in Holland. Personally, probably I did, but I didn't notice, because when I came to Holland, they were speaking Dutch and I didn't understand nothing. So I played my first game I played for Ajax was a derby. It was Ajax against Feyenoord. And I'm going in that field. I have no knowledge of what they say in Dutch. I'm just focused on football. That's what I'm here for. So being focused on it, I didn't pay, maybe probably with the understanding of the language I have now, if I go back to the field to play, probably I would have picked up some of the racist or statements and all of that. But at the time I came to Netherlands, I didn't experience any of that. And throughout my career, playing in Netherlands, playing in Belgium, playing in the Premier League, I don't think personally I've experienced it, but I've had a few players who told me, those playing in Russia, probably a few that play in Italy, have mentioned to me some of the experiences they had as far as racial abuse is concerned. And seeing other players come to the forefront and talk about it more and more, create even more awareness of that it's an issue that has to be dealt with on a certain level. And I really feel like beyond everything, one of the ways to deal with it is about understanding first who we are. So Black Lives Matters is who are we? It's about understanding who we are. People like Samuel Eto'o are bringing up this front and helping players to understand who their real value is and understand that they are not less than any other person. Secondly, it's about promoting our own things, promoting African football, promoting Caribbean football. When we put the spotlight on what we have and make it look big and make it look powerful and make it look marketable, I think a lot of this stuff will be watering down than the way it is.
African football, and you talked about Caribbean football. We have all this talent, and whenever we see individual players, we see exciting teams. What is stopping us? What is stopping the folks in Africa? What is stopping the folks in the Caribbean? Now that you sit in the chair now as more or less an administrator, what do you think is holding us back?
I think one word that has been holding us back is vision. It's just vision. So today we see years ago, what we called the English Premier League is not what it was years ago. We had the Calcio. We had today the Serie A used to be Calcio. What it was then was they made it what it was. They bought all the big players. They bought the Gullit from Holland. They bought the Marco van Basten. They bought the Josh Weah from France. And they made the league big. They marketed it. And the English Premier League today wasn't what it was. And years later down the line, the English Premier League said, you know what, we're going to rebrand our league and make it the best. And they began to put intentional plans in place. Things don't happen overnight. We can't wish it. We have to work for it. And the moment the English Premier League, the FA began to work to make the league what it is today, now everyone is watching the Premier League all over the world. So we need his vision. It's what's a vision and what's the vision? And it needs people like what Mr. Chris Anderson is doing with the Caribbean football, and also what a few of us who are coming out of active football now to get on the vision board with CAF and other football governing body to push Africa. It needs a vision. And this is the things that we're working on. But we have to go back to the basics, to the grassroots, to begin to develop talents again, then bring the vision forward. And I think that's what I said about management. We have the talents. There's no doubt some of the best players in the world are from Africa. But we don't have a vision. We don't have competitions. We don't have a branding that sell the African as a product, as a person, that other people should be coming to Africa to want to watch, to want to buy what we are showcasing. And I think this is just a start with what Mr. Chris Anderson is doing. I think many more will be born from this, and we'll be seeing many more things coming up.
Folks, you're listening to Football Insight, presented by Caribbean Sports and Entertainment Management Group. It's Vernon A. Springer and Carl Blankendale, hosts of the Football Insight program, which is powered by Eyong Cup Open 2022. Nets will shake. It really was indeed a pleasure for me in my segment in speaking to Enoh. And for the rest of the conversation, it will be my co-host, Carl Blankendale, who will be able to conclude this special interview. Thanks very much, Ian, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Vernon.
When your body is challenged, it burns fuel and energy. Respond to every challenge with Altitude Sports Drink. It replenishes, restores, and prepares you for the next level. Altitude is uniquely formulated with an electrolyte blend and magnesium available in fruit punch, blue frost, and grape. Altitude. Raise your game.
Let me take this opportunity to say how delighted and excited I am to be part of the Eyong Cup as an ambassador. I'm really looking forward to it. I know it's a great initiative that will give our young footballers in the region an opportunity for them to highlight their product. So I'm really looking forward to it, which will hopefully happen next year. We know that we are going to some trial times at this particular time with COVID-19. Let me just take this opportunity to say to everyone globally to continue to stay as safe as you can. Also to continue to try and fulfill all the requirements which are on board for you to stay as safe as possible. God bless.
Hi guys, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank here, ex-Leeds United, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, and the Dutch national team. Please join me for the Iceland Cup. I'll be there. But in the meantime, stay safe. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and I'll see you. All the best. Bye-bye.
That was fantastic information you gave to everyone listening, more insight into African football and the challenges, but also the successes, which we don't really see. As you said, the marketing arm is not there. Let's talk about your time in the English Premier League, because many people would not know that you played for Fulham. Talk about that experience.
Fulham, man. Fulham is, I've always, as a young player, always had a dream to play in the Premier League. Actually, Premier League was always my objective, my target. And when I was at Ajax in the year 2012, I got injured on my knee and I had to be out for about 6 months. So I came back, and it was the year towards the end of the year 2012. I was recovering from the knee injury and I needed to play. But the coach, because the team was doing well, I didn't have enough game time. Then my former coach at the time, Martin Jol, was the coach of Fulham FC, and he knew me very well. And he called me over and said, "Can you come over for loan and with an option to buy?" And for me, that was like, this is a dream come true. I'm going to be in the Premier League. So my time in Fulham was very exciting. It was one of my objectives to play in the Premier League. And I was so happy that I didn't miss out on that. I found myself at Fulham, and I had a few former teammates at Ajax, Ubi Emmanuel Sane, who were there. And also I played with top quality players like Berbatov, like George Karagonis, and Damien Dorf. This was a crop of players of top quality. And we had a lot of fun, and my experience in the Premier League was so unique. And unfortunately, that the deal didn't go through because Ajax wouldn't let me go. I had to go back to Ajax. But the few months I spent in the Premier League playing with Fulham, just experiencing the atmosphere of football, playing against Liverpool, playing against Chelsea, just playing against all these top Premier League clubs was unforgettable.
I think Ajax made a smart decision to get you back. I believe once you came back, you won your championships, right, with Ajax?
Yes, correct.
Now, looking at some of your individual careers, successes, just coming to Ajax from Ajax Cape Town, and then you become the Player of the Year. Tell me that story. 2008.
Yes, I played my first season at Ajax Cape Town in the year 2007, and I was still getting to understand what the league is. But the next season, I was already fully into the league, and a lot of people were surprised on how I adapted so fast, because the philosophy of football in Ajax Cape Town is just the same like in Ajax Amsterdam. Nothing different. The training sessions, the passing drills. So for me, I already began to enjoy myself. I was taking leadership. I was winning man of the match awards. And at the end of the season, I was voted Player of the Season, Player of the Season. And making that move on such a high note to Ajax Amsterdam made it easier for me to adapt, because it was the same football, it was the same philosophy. And at the end of the season, I was nominated as the best signing for the club. You know, like the player who came on almost a kind of partnership transfer without them spending a lot of money. And you had other players who had come, they bought them 10 million euros, some 15 million euros. And I just came from the satellite club, but I was the best signing and one of the best players of the season. So for me, that was unique. That showed that there was a lot of potential, and it gave me a lot of courage to move forward.
Now, your journey is not a traditional one. So here in Bermuda, most players think they can go to the United States, Canada, or directly to the Premier League. But give them a little bit of insight, because you actually went around the world through, I believe, Turkey. You've been to Belgium. So just give them a little bit of your story about, it's not always going to be what you think is going to happen. You have to be ready to take your bag and play football where they want you to play football. It's a job.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Calvin. I think it starts, sometimes you're trying to project too much into where you're going, and you forget exactly what you have to do to get there. So if I want to play in Man United, if I want to play in Chelsea, I don't just jump and land there. It's what I do here that gets me there. And sometimes a lot of excitement as a young person. When you have these dreams, you're so excited. But for me, like you said, my journey was very unconventional because I was in Cameroon and I was playing with the first division team. I was one of the youngest players. And I had other young players also work together in what you call the cadet or the junior national team. But most of them, they already had their breakthroughs playing in top professional football clubs in Europe. Some of them like Stefan Bia, Landry Ngemo, Alex Song, they were already playing. I was still in Cameroon. And it felt like I was late. It felt like I was behind. I had to stay one more year, be patient, keep working. And I had the opening that came for me to go to Cyprus. And Cyprus is kind of small, almost insignificant. And that area of Cyprus is not even recognized as a country in Europe. It's the Turkish side where the league is almost amateur. Otherwise, you have the southern side, which participate in Europa League and Champions League games. So I was still in the shadows, but I still worked hard. I was still determined until I became the best player in the league there. And I was scouted by a Turkish agent who was living in South Africa. And he said, you can come to South Africa. I have a coach there that will help you develop. And again, for me, I left Africa. I was in Europe. Normally, I had to look for other opportunities in another European country. Why am I going back to Africa? So you see, the journey is not always like people think. You have to follow your gut instinct, and then you have to stick to work. And I think once you have the determination, you have the discipline to work, wherever you're put, you would always show something that will get people attention. So making my way back to South Africa was not that easy, but it was what helped me develop to be ready to play in a club like Ajax Amsterdam. So, but even before I even had to go to Cyprus, I'd made a trip to Burkina Faso, which many people don't know about. I was playing in first division in Cameroon, and I had this agent who said to me, listen, I'm going to take you to a club in France. At the time, he was in partnership with Lens Football Club. And so he said, but getting a visa in Cameroon is going to be tricky. I work in Burkina Faso. I'm going to take you to a club in Burkina Faso. You're going to play there for a couple of months while I work on the visa for you to go on trials. So I went to Burkina Faso and played a whole full season with this club. And the season was the club was champion as well in that season. And at the end of the day, I didn't go. So it's not like I just got out and people saw me in Ajax. That happened overnight. I had disappointments. I didn't go. The agent didn't get me to the club. So that was a disappointment. I had to come back to Cameroon and I had to pick up myself and get back to my first division team and continue to train and continue to dream and continue to stay disciplined. And you can imagine someone who was working to go to a place like France, which has clubs that are known and are popular. But now the opening for me was to go to Cyprus. And North Cyprus, an amateur place, which nobody knows about it. But I went there because I knew that to get to certain places, there's no direct route. You have to go through different routes, and each person's route is not the same. And for me, that was my journey. It was about just keeping in front of me what I wanted to achieve and keep walking, knowing that each day I'm taking a step. And so that was it, going to Cyprus, coming to South Africa, and then heating back to Amsterdam. That was a little bit about how my journey. Of course, after I played in UK, and I also went to play in Turkey. I played in Antalyaspor for a whole season. So I had a Turkish experience. And from Turkey, the payment was not the best and it didn't look professional for me. So after that, I moved to Belgium, where I played with Standard Liège for over 3 seasons and won trophies with the team before going to rest a little bit in Cyprus for 1 or 2 years and coming back to Amsterdam. That's a briefly of my journey.
That's an amazing story. So, young people have to understand that it's not always going to be the pathway that you think it's going to be. You have to be resilient and willing to play football all over the world. It's a global game. It's not the USA, Canada, or the UK. Wherever the ball calls you, follow it if you believe it's a good decision. Now, not many people on this side of the world, definitely not in Bermuda and the smaller islands, would have ever played in a World Cup. So give us a little bit of a background about, we all play in qualifiers, but when you actually on that day and the points come up that you've actually qualified, what is that feeling? We are going to the World Cup.
The feeling is special. Again, like I said, one of the source of the dream for my football career was the 1990 World Cup, where Cameroon became known, and the famous Roger Milla celebration that put Africa on the map. So the picture of the World Cup is the epitome of football. It's the peak of football, and every footballer dreams someday to play in a World Cup. And I was fortunate to be part of a great nation, football nation like Cameroon, where Cameroon has more possibility to qualify to a World Cup. But to be part of the team that makes that qualification is a feeling that you cannot explain. And like I said, being able to qualify to my first World Cup, and that World Cup was going to be the first one that is hosted by an African nation, that was historic. And I was going to be part of that history. Forgetting that the fact that we didn't win and went to the next round, just being part of that World Cup is a memory, it's a feeling that I cannot quantify. It's a feeling that I cannot even explain. But I wasn't even thinking about a World Cup when I signed for Ajax. I wasn't even thinking about a World Cup when I was called up to the national team. I was just thinking about the privilege and the blessing to be part of the team. And for me, that was it. I was not thinking so much about, I want to make it to the squad or to the work. I was just thinking about, it's an opportunity. This is a blessing. This is a privilege to be called. Cameroon is a country at that time, which was about 20 million people. And you've got millions of footballers, millions of dreamers. And just to be among the top few that are selected is such a blessing, such a privilege that sometimes can be underestimated and not really be recognized. So those feelings, like I said, it cannot be quantified. It can't be quantified when you are part of a team that qualifies. And I saw how tough it is to qualify for a World Cup, especially in Africa, where no team can be underestimated. And besides the first World Cup we qualified for, the second World Cup was more challenging because for the first one, we qualified beating Morocco in their own field 2-0, and then qualifying to South Africa. But the second one, we beat against Tunisia. We had to win obligatory. If we had a draw, we would have been out. And we won that game in Yaoundé 4-1. And just the atmosphere to make that qualification for Brazil 2014 was something that I keep special. There was a lot of challenges going on externally and internally in the team and outside the team. And nobody was even considering that we were going to make it. They felt like, forget it. Yes, we are Cameroon, but we have so many issues. And just to awake the lion in each and every one of us, and brace through that, and prove to the nation and prove to ourselves that this is, we still got it in us. We are Cameroon. We can make it. For me, the celebration, the fans, is something beyond description. One cannot really explain in words what that feeling is to be able to qualify for a World Cup as a player and from Cameroon.
Let's go back to the Island Cup Open under the leadership of Mr. Chris Anderson. We talked about the opportunities and creating our own platforms and events. I was talking to Vernon, and I was saying this would be a great occasion to not only bring the footballers on the field together, but if we can set up like a business forum or seminar to educate the agents, the players, the spectators, so we can almost have like a soccer acts, which always is Europe or South American. Why don't we do that amongst ourselves and bring the Caribbean and Africa together so that we can actually educate and create businesses out of the on-field events? What's your feeling about that?
Like again, I said, Calvin, I said, what has been holding us, Africa holding us, is vision. And what you're saying right there is just vision. It's one man who has a vision that is going to make things happen and it's going to pull to every length. And I think it's about time. So I'm hoping that this whole idea of Mr. Chris Anderson is the start of the big African Caribbean dream and vision, where a lot of different ideas and businesses, like you say, is going to be birthed out of this. When was the last time? I don't remember any kind of event besides a World Cup that is bringing together some of the big names in Africa. But the Island Open Cup is what is doing, not on a kind of official football tournament, but this is like a celebration. It's not just the competitive game, like we're going to qualify, we're going to do this. And there's a lot of administrative arguments and back and forth. No. This is more like a celebration, a chill environment to celebrate, to recognize, but at the same time, to begin to rub minds and say, what can we do to be better? What can we do to elevate ourselves? And I think this is the platform. And I agree with you 100% that if we don't speak among ourselves, we don't create no spark. The moment we begin to rub minds, sparks will be produced, and then there's going to be flow like electricity is happening through a current link. And this is what I'm hoping, that there won't just be on the pitch activities and also the other music celebration. There will be also a kind of football ingenuity interaction where businesses and people can come with their sports business ideas and just general basic business ideas and present them and expose them and get people to begin to see like, wow, what have we been doing all these years, all these decades? It's time. It's about time. We've got so much and we have not marketed what we have enough. We have not branded what we have enough. This is our time. This is what I can say. This is our time. We can't miss it this time. This is the time.
Yeah, I feel your passion, and on this side of the world, this is what Vernon Springer and I are trying to do in a small way.
When your body is challenged, it burns fuel and energy. Respond to every challenge with Altitude Sports Drink. It replenishes, restores, and prepares you for the next level. Altitude is uniquely formulated with an electrolyte blend and magnesium available in fruit punch, blue frost, and grape. Altitude. Raise your game.
Let me take this opportunity to say how delighted and excited I am to be part of the Island Cup as an ambassador. I'm really looking forward to it. I know it's a great initiative that will give our young footballers in the region an opportunity for them to highlight their product. So I'm really looking forward to it, which will hopefully happen next year. We know that we are going to some trial times at this particular time with COVID-19. Let me just take this opportunity to say to everyone globally to continue to stay as safe as you can. Also to continue to try and fulfill all the requirements which are on board for you to stay as safe as possible. God bless.
Hi there, guys. It's Sol Campbell here. Former Tottenham, Arsenal, Newcastle, Portsmouth, and of course, England international. The Eyong Cup starts next summer, 2021. Be there, guys, because I'm going to be there. All the best. Stay safe, wash your hands, and wear your masks. See you there, guys.
I want to give you the opportunity to go more in depth about your book, because you have a book, and we talked a few weeks ago, that is going to be both in Dutch and English, and it's going to be able to assist persons and athletes or players. So give us, in Bermuda, a little history about the book, and then hopefully we can market the book in Bermuda and get it available to those young people.
Yeah, so I've been in football for probably over 20 years now, and I've had my own fair share of experience, failures, mistakes, and all of that. And I was looking back and forth in what is out there as far as football educative materials are concerned. I saw a lot of autobiography. And when I was wrapping up my career, I didn't think that I wanted to do the same thing that everyone did, which was another autobiography. I felt like I needed to do something different that was going to be more educative, more instructive, and more inspiring. And I looked at my own self, and I looked around and looked at other players that I knew their life, and I looked at the stories that were coming out in the media, in the papers, generally about footballers. And I saw that there were repetitive trends that were going on. One of the things I realized for myself and for other players is that a lot of us as sports people were out of balance. We were making sacrifices, big success in our career, but it was in in detriment to family. It was in detriment to other things. It was in detriment to our personality, to our character, but we're making success in career. And I felt like, for me, that wasn't success. And I also asked the second question, like, I saw a lot of players that made it, they won trophies, but at the end of their career, they didn't look happy. They didn't look fulfilled. These were big questions that were going through my mind. And I was also asking myself a question. If I were to advise my younger self, what would I tell them? What would be the tools I would give to them? And I felt like education was important. I also felt like in the football setting, everyone is focused on your gift and your talent, but no, people are not focused on you developing as an individual, as a person. And so your talent does well, but you as a person, you don't develop, you don't grow, you don't mature, you don't improve yourself. And at the end of the day, when you play with your talent on the field, people don't meet the talent, they meet the person. And I know a lot of people have told me when I met the person, I was disappointed because the talent elevates you, the gift elevates you, you perform well, but when they meet you, people can engage with you because you've not worked on your self-esteem. You've not just worked on emotional intelligence, which these are all personal development stuff. And the football setting doesn't do that. The football setting pushes on performance. And so that's why the title of my book is called The 4 P's to a Successful Career. It's about identifying 4 pillars that will help a professional footballer have all-round success. And the first one I talk about is purpose, is finding your why, knowing why you're doing this thing. Why were you called into this? What's the reason behind it? Because I believe when you know your why, you will know how to use it. You know, like a very good teacher that I like to listen to is of late now, Miles Monroe. He talks about when the purpose of a thing is not known, he said, abuse is inevitable. So if I play football and I'm successful with my football career and I'm popular, I've made a big name, I'm a celebrity. If I don't know why all of that is happening to me, I'm going to abuse it. Just like in politics, when someone is going for campaign and he's elected by the people and gets into power and has control over many things, if he doesn't have a clear why he's in power, he's going to abuse it. And I felt like it was important for every sports person, young professional footballer. So the book is for aspiring, is for active, is for transitioning, as well as is also for those parents who need to advise their children who are coming or probably may not have the experience, but they have the book to share with them. And so let them know that you need to first define your why. And second, since football is also about performance, you need to also understand at what level and at what unique ability you have in performance. So your greatest competitor is not another player. Your greatest competitor is yourself. And this is also core to what I write in the book. And the third thing I talk about, money, which we all know money is a big, it's a big part in this football game. And I speak how ruthless the game of football is. And one of my favorite quotes in the book is, it's not about how much you make, it's what you do with what you make. And it comes back to the question of management. And I, for myself, like every other young player, go through football academies, go through football trainings day in, day out. But after our football career is done, what we have left in our bank account is literally what really stands. And if we never had time to educate ourselves on money, to understand how money works, how to keep money, how to grow money, how to invest money, then we will be doing ourselves a disservice to have given our 15, 20 years on a career and still whatever we made, because we didn't have money knowledge, money education, we will be losing, we would have wasted those years, because definitely it's not what you make, it's what you do with it. And I use an example in the book of someone who signs a contract of $3 million and has no money knowledge, and another person who signs a contract of $150,000. It's not how much that person has. The person who has $150,000, if they invest it wisely, that money is going to be progressively growing and increasing. While the person with $3 million, because he doesn't have money knowledge, he's going to be dropping till he gets to zero. And I say that's the big deal about getting knowledge about money. And the fourth one, I talk about personality. And my favorite quote is that people don't remember you for what you did. People remember you for how you made them feel. And that comes from emotional intelligence. And I feel like every young person who gets into top professional football, because you become an example, a model, people look up to you. You want to be responsible for how you carry yourself out there. You want to be responsible for the image you give to the game. You want to also be responsible for the level of leadership you have. And I think it's a huge call. If players should understand and sports people should understand that you have a platform where you can be seen. There are many people who dream to be in your position, but they are not there. And you cannot undermine the influence you have, both for the next generation, both for the community. And that's why building and working on your personality to be a better human being, to understand that you are not special to be playing at a top level. You are just another human being who was privileged, and you can't treat other people lower than yourself. And it's about respect. It's about love. It's about community. It's about understanding that you're in a position of leadership. And I feel like through this book, I want to bring that education to young players, and so that people will not be giving the wrong tag to professional footballers. They are arrogant. They are wasters. They are this, they are that, they are womanizers. No, I think professional footballers are responsible people. I think they are very disciplined people. I think they are very respectful people. And I think they are also good citizens. But they need to show this more. They need to prove this more. And that cannot come unless they have proper guidance, education to remind them of this privileged position. So this is what the book is about. It's about talking about these 4 key values that will help a professional footballer have a balanced career, success beyond the field, success beyond the glowing stadium, the lighted stadium. So that we don't want, I personally would not want to see a footballer that is very successful on the field and a failure outside. I want to see someone who is balanced all around.
Fantastic. I like the way you bring your real world experience and you put it in the book. But you spoke on it a little bit at the beginning, but let's go back to it. You've also gone back to school to educate yourself, and tell the viewers what degree you have received and why you did it.
So thinking about, I want to help players, but I cannot help them just with my experience on the field, because that's limited. Because I'm not going to be working only on the field. I have to work outside the field. So I felt like it was important for me to go back to school to do a studies on sports management and lifestyle. It's a master's program with Rome Business School, which is more of a practical experience, a project experience, to be out there in the field, to understand how the football business work, the football management work, and all the different dynamics that are outside the context of football. For me, as a player, when you're preparing for a game, all you know is that you wake up in the morning, you have to get your food, your jersey is set, you get a bus, if you're going to fly, you fly. After the game, you get in the bus, throw your jersey, but all the work that goes behind the scene to put that thing to happen. Most of us, the players, we don't have a clue. And if you're going to get into sport management, it's also understanding the other side of work that happens before a player gets to a football game, before an event is put in place, like we're talking about the Ireland Cup. It's a lot of work going on behind the scene. And some people are going to be playing only on the field, may not have a clue of the management, the business, the setup, a lot of work you're doing now with the podcast, a lot of work you're doing with business negotiations. So you can't just get your football experience on the field and do this kind of work. You need to learn, you need to study. And that's why I decided to go back. And it's even during the study that I was even much more inspired to wrap up with the book, because now the book is taking a different approach, a stronger approach, and in the way that I'm going. So that's just one of the tools that I need to be able to carry out the desire and the dream I have to manage and to educate players. So sports management is just one of them. There are many other courses that I'm going to be doing to build myself, to improve myself, so that I can serve the purpose for which I want to give out to players better.
Yes, the world of football is definitely changing. I mean, coming from Holland, it used to traditionally be the professionals would retire and they would start a cigar shop. You know, they would start a shop and sell magazines and cigarettes and candies. But these days, like you said, the players are more intelligent now, or more awareness and access to better management, and they are investing in themselves and into international corporations. The Ireland Cup Open, again, thank you to Mr. Chris Anderson, who's also brought you to this platform. We want to thank him and thank you. They have a mandate to kick poverty out. So we know poverty is a global thing. It's not an African thing. It's not a Bermudian thing. You have it in the United States. You have it in the UK and Canada and elsewhere as well. But what would you like to see out of this event what can be done to help try to reduce poverty or bring more awareness to how to assist those who are not as fortunate as others?
Well, I think one of the first thing I would like to see is a complete shift, paradigm shift. I will use the word paradigm shift in mindset, because I think poverty starts with the mind. Historically, statistically, and in terms of actual fact, proves that Africa is the richest continent in the world. But Africa is the poorest mental continent at the moment, because they are not exploiting the resources that they have. And those resources are exploited by other people who are more rich in their mind and not in terms of natural resources. So one of the things I will be happy to see as this Island Cup kicks off is that there will be a paradigm shift in the mindset of those of us that are coming, to become more aware that we as a people, we are not poor. We as a people, we are not poor, because first our mind is shifting to the fact that we begin to realize the potentials, and we begin to realize the qualities and the capacities that we have, so we can begin to take advantage of them. I've seen a lot of young people whom I grew up with. If they stayed in the context of certain African cities, they would have not been able to explore their potential. But translate them to a different setting, maybe in Europe, maybe in a school, maybe in a company, and you see them thriving with the same quality and potential they had in Africa, producing more results. And I think this is it. It's about shifting of mindsets. The moment we begin to think differently and we begin to see possibility and see the great potential we have. For me, this is the biggest, like I said, vision. This is where visions are born. This is where ideas are born. And this is where change is also born. So I believe one of the things I want to see is a change in mindset. And when that mindset changes, the way we talk about Africa, the way we talk about what we have, is also going to change. Then we will not be sabotaging one another. We will instead be promoting and encouraging one another. That's one of the first things I really want to see. I want to see mindset change, and that mindset cannot change unless we begin to set tournaments like this to bring people together, and then also do the other aspect of education. Very few events really gather Africans together or Caribbeans together, but not only for the event itself, but for educational purposes that will bring awareness, the awareness we're talking about, backed with vision and practical projects that will roll and follow after that. And you can definitely measure the progress of it over time. So I think this should be the kind of pathway we're looking at. First, the gathering. Second, the awareness. Thirdly, the practical, tangible project. We are not where we are, but this is what we want to do in the next 1 month. This is what we want to do in the next 2 months. And we're going to be evaluating ourselves and create a picture and show ourselves a picture of where we want to be. So we're saying we're starting with the Island Cup 2022, but in 2030, this is where we want to be. This is how we want African football to look like. These are the kind of young people we want to see come out of Island Cup that will shake not just the nets, but shake the continent and shake the world. And these are the kind of stuffs we want to be hearing, things that will provoke the heart and the inspiration in people. So I think this is be the start, a shift of mindset that comes through not just the event itself, but the education and awareness that comes from the event that will produce the next things.
I had a lot more questions, but I have to wrap it up. The way you just captured everything we talked about, no further questions needed, my brother. That was excellent. On behalf of the Island Cup Open, Mr. Chris Anderson here on the Caribbean Sport Entertainment Management Group Podcast Network, we wish to thank Enoh for joining us today. Former player of Cameroon, Ajax, Fulham, Antwerp, Standard Liège, all these great teams, represented this country in 2 World Cups, player of the year at Ajax. And what else can you say? He's experienced it all. And look at him today, a happy man with his family. And he hasn't retired. He's transitioning into bigger and better things. I want to thank you for taking time to talk to us today on behalf of Mr. Springer, who, like you said, is a visionary and a leader. And we definitely have to have part 2 and may we see you next year at the Island Cup Open and nets will shake. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you so much, Calvin. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, this is Dwight York.
Hi there, guys. It's Sol Campbell here.
Bonjour, je suis Samuel Eto'o.
Hola, soy Juan Sebastián Verón.
Hello guys, I'm Eyong.
Hi, this is Brad Friedel.
What's up, guys? Nico Anelka speaking. Please join me.
Agradezco la invitación.
Join me in full support of the Islands Cup Open
Coming summer 2021.
Island Cup Open.
The Island Cup.
I'll be there. Let's do this.